Hi everybody, this is Gary Fong, and I am here with my friend Caitlyn Chapman, who I've been trying to get for, I don't know, a couple of years to be a guest in our videos, and she's always been very coy and shy. The reason why I wanted to get her is because she's an amazing photographer, amazing lighting expert, and an expert in areas that I don't really delve in too much, which is fashion photography. Is this kind of your specialty? And cats. Don't forget cats. I know you do a lot of animal photography, but what's your specialty?
Yeah, you said it there. Fashion photography, portraiture. I have kind of moved away from the dog and cat a little bit.
Why?
It's hard to do.
Yeah,
it's
right.
It's really hard.
Right, right.
And I just enjoy the fashion and the portraiture more.
What do you enjoy about that?
With the fashion, in the particular types of work that I do, which is quite often model tests.
Right.
So shooting them just when they're getting started and learning, that's a lot of fun for me. It's interesting to see their progression and see how they do and eventually leave the nest and go international. And then portraiture,
Cool.
in particular women's portraiture, I really enjoy because it can be quite empowering.
Right.
Yeah.
So if someone's brand new and wants to get into modeling, which is half of the entire female.
Yeah, everybody on Instagram.
Right, everybody on this, and they're already doing it, right?
Yeah.
They're working on that. But
Yeah.
if they want to get serious about it, and what's neat is we have Katie,
Yes.
who we've been using for, gosh, a year and a half as our model, and
Yeah.
I discovered her she was working at a restaurant, and I knew she had the look that we were looking for.
Yeah.
And one of the things, when I was photographing ads in Los Angeles, we would really like to find models that didn't have a description that you could really say. Like I couldn't say, oh, she's exotic, she's angular, she's,
Yeah, yeah.
And then when they would come across, it would be harder for us to then just say, well, I can envision that person in the shoot. Is that kind of the way it is you want to be kind of a blank slate where...
Yes, I mean, in general, models do want to be versatile.
Right.
But there is always, each one has their own look and their own market or type of modeling that they specialize in or really are ideal for. And agencies vary as well in what they specialize in and what they look for. Mm-hmm. So it depends on your look, really, on what you want to show in your photographs and where you want to go with your work, right?
So who's going to make that assessment for them? If someone says, I want to go into modeling, and I know, like, if a girl say, some girls say, well, I'm too short, I'm 5'6", but you could do print commercial, or you don't, everyone thinks I've got to be 5'10" to do runway, 5'10", size 2. What do you think, who makes that assessment on what a girl's we can say guys too, right?
Yeah.
Who makes that assessment as to what a person might want to just direct themselves toward?
Usually it's the agency.
Right.
Of course, often a person is going to have something in mind that they want to get into, but quite often once they get into a mother agency, they are going to train them and get them doing photo shoots and see how they come across in print and just see where their skills lie and where their look is going to take them, and they will market them accordingly to bigger agencies and around the world.
What's a mother agency?
A mother agency is a smaller agency that scouts and trains models at the local level, and then they will farm them out to larger agencies and bigger markets.
Okay.
Right?
And that would be Sabrina's?
Yeah, Sabrina at Dejavu in town here, she does that. She's a mother agency.
Right.
Yeah.
So how does it work? Just say, you're Katie and you want to go into, you've been encouraged by some photographers, and well, there's a number of things. Like, for example, Model Mayhem. You can trade for prints all day long, right?
Yeah.
But that's not really going to help, except it'll give you experience. And what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good way to get your foot in the door and get a taste for what it's like to be in front of the camera. It's a good way to find out whether you even like having your picture taken.
Sure.
Or even like working with makeup artists and photographers and that kind of thing. Maybe it's too overwhelming. Maybe you really enjoy it. It's a good way to get started, and then you have some photos to approach agencies with.
Right.
But generally the first step is to find a mother agency and approach them and talk to them about being developed.
So then when you go to that agency, do you bring like a Z card, or do you bring, what do you
It depends. They're all different. with the smaller ones, you can just walk in and or email or whatever the communication line is and ask them to speak to them. And they'll just want to see just a couple of photos, maybe from your iPhone or what have you, and they'll go from there. Some of the bigger agencies, yes, if you want to approach them directly, they will want to see a comp card and a portfolio.
Right, okay. But it's a good idea if you, like, say, went to a mother agency just to kind of introduce yourself to have a Z card, right?
Yeah, exactly. It can't hurt.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the Z card. One thing that I think is kind of neat is they're pretty cheap to make.
Yes.
Because you go online, it's like, we'll do 10,000 of them for 4 cents, you know, double-sided color. But that's kind of neat because then it's really, there's no cost to them, like in the old days when you had to print 8x10s and it was expensive. But what should be on the Z card?
Generally, you want to showcase your skills and your look. So some models may be more international, more high fashion looking, where some may be more appealing to a commercial or stock look. Whatever you are hoping for your look to be or have defined your look to be, you want to showcase that, as well as versatility on top of that. So a really good headshot, maybe something that's a bit more commercial looking, something that's a little bit more fashion looking, because you're going to have 1 shot on the front and 4 on the back usually. Plus your measurements. So a little bit of versatility, nice and clean, nothing too wacky, and just show off you.
What I didn't like was when we'd get Z cards and there was so much makeup and styling, we couldn't see who the person was.
Exactly, yeah. You want very clean, simple hair and makeup.
Yeah.
That's just going to enhance rather than cover.
Right.
Yeah.
Because for us, you know, we would have a big pile, and honestly, I was drawn to the ones that had very little styling because then I can rely on that.
Yeah.
And then what would happen is, you know, we would have the casting, but before the casting, I don't know if this is the way it is anymore, but we'd make them send Polaroids.
Yes.
That's probably not. But the Polaroids we knew that weren't going to be doctored, right?
They do digitals now is what they're called, and they're just shot on a phone or
but
a simple camera.
Can't you retouch that?
You
know?
Yeah, so you just kind of have to be confident that, and I know some companies still use Polaroids.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So how does it work, like, fee-wise with agencies and things like that? How does that whole thing work?
As far as hiring a model, or?
No, just like how does it, there's commissions. I mean, I know a real agent will not charge you.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. That's something you'd have to ask Sabrina about more than me. But
I think Sabrina also does training, so that's kind of different, right?
Yeah,
because
so
she develops.
She develops.
And that's
so
different.
Usually she runs classes.
Right.
And actually anybody is welcome to pay to get into the class.
Sure.
And then they're trained in their runway and photo movement and nutrition and etiquette and all that type of stuff. And then from there, at the end of the classes, if she wants to offer them to join the agency, then they can. And from there...
So she has to say, you know, you might, but
anybody is welcome to come in and take the classes.
Right.
Which is kind of cool.
How important is the training?
Very. She doesn't let anyone into the agency without taking the classes.
But in terms of, like, what do you learn for, like, so say, for example, someone wants to get into modeling, what does the training help, like?
It's going to teach you how to, and again, I'm not an agent, but just from what I've seen, it's going to teach you how to walk properly, because walking the runway is not as easy as it looks. It takes a lot of technique.
Runways, it looks very hard, but runway's not a big part of the jobs that are out there. Is it, or it is?
Well, again, it depends on you as a model, because some are going to appeal more to runway. The very, very thin, very tall ones will more appeal to runway. But they also learn photo movement.
Okay, so and that is choreographed poses, or what is that?
Just learning how to know your angles and know how to present yourself best to the camera.
Okay.
And yes, they do learn a couple of classic poses to keep in their back pocket. And how to move in front of the camera and keep, you know, photographers and art directors happy. Exactly.
Because it goes both ways. I mean, I've had mechanized models who just went 1, 2, 3, you know, Remington steel, you know, I mean, they would kind of be like machines.
Exactly. So they need to learn to be able to not only move their body, but also be able to emote a little bit as well with their face, so that if a photographer or director says, okay, well, this is going to be edgy and we want you to look maybe like you're on an adventure, or, you know, what have you, then they can kind of bring that, but still keep proper form and
Oh,
that
so it is
fashion
pretty
edge to
complicated,
it.
isn't
Yeah,
it?
it's
Yeah, because I know your limbs can't do a certain thing
Yeah.
because one arm's going to look longer, fatter
yeah,
than the other.
and the stakes keep going up and up and up. Of course, as people keep getting better at it, it's just like sports.
Yeah?
Yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Is it really competitive, would you say?
From what I've seen, yeah, it looks like a pretty competitive market.
What I think is really kind of interesting is that, yeah, it's competitive, but I see so many people that should do it.
Yeah.
Because I know I've been in a lot of castings where we
Yeah.
had to pick, and I'm just like going, we would have picked you in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
You know, have you ever modeled? No. Has anyone ever asked you to? No. Like, what?
Some people just, it's not for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's what's great about the classes as well, and Model Mayhem,
Mm-hmm.
is you can give it a try and learn what it's all about and learn that it's not as easy as it looks,
Right.
and then maybe just walk away from it.
Right.
Yeah.
Isn't Model Mayhem kind of dangerous, though?
I have heard, yeah, especially in the bigger cities and that kind of thing, it can be a little bit creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you have to be very careful
Right.
as a model.
Yeah. Bring a boyfriend.
Yeah, bring a
Bring
boyfriend
mace.
or, yeah, bring mace and
Yeah.
just be smart.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
be smart.
Yeah, exactly. So we got Katie, who I think will be a really interesting kind of a case
Yes,
history because
yeah.
we've been shooting her for quite a while, and so I think we've talked her into actually giving it a shot.
Yeah,
And so she came to me with all these questions, like I have no idea what to do next. And I
Yeah.
said, well, I know. Caitlyn will know. 'Cause Caitlyn does that. So it'll be
Yeah.
kind of cool because we want to introduce you to my audience
yeah,
as a photographer, so they can see how your style is so different than mine.
yes, very.
Which is very, no, it's really fun to watch.
Yeah.
And you're an expert on lighting, which I think is great. So I think that'll be fun to watch someone else use my gear.
Yeah,
and,
it'll be fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
show how this stuff works. So great. So today we're going to shoot Katie, and I get to sit back and watch you do it.
Woo!
Woo! All right, thanks.